Okay, time to play some Space Cadet pinball. Where is this guy here? No Space Cadet pinball? That's not fair. What? It was gone in the early 2000s? Well, okay, there's only two things we can actually do here. We can either go back in time and grab a PC from the early 2000s to play it, or we can build an entire arcade dedicated to Space Cadet pinball. I like that one. Roll the intro! Hey everyone, and welcome to Groove Builders, the show where we create together. I'm your host, Disorderly Cone, and in this episode, we're going to be building, boom, the MU Video Game City. Now, yes, we could have built the Titan Armor too, but I really did want to check out this whole line of really awesomely painted colored models, and this one I think is a great place to start. Not only because it's super colorful, but also because it has that Space Cadet game inside, and I really want to play it. Now, I know what you're thinking. How hard will this model actually be with 77 pieces? Will that paint all chip off? And what tools do you need to build a video game arcade city? These are all great questions, and we're going to get the answers. Let's get down to the workbench and open up our package. And boom, just like that, we have everything out of our package and we're almost ready to go. Taking a quick look at our metal here, doesn't this look awesome? I mean, look at all the detail, all the color looks super good, and you can tell by some of our pieces, this is going to be a decent sized model. I'm really excited to see how all of this comes together, and I'm also interested to see if this paint is going to stay on our model. Taking a quick look at our instructions, this is a really cool book. I like how everything is done. It's super neat, and also, unlike some of our other instructions we have, it doesn't tell us here how to bend or twist our tabs. So it'll be interesting to see how we decide to do that throughout our build. And finally, we need to talk about our tools. Now for this build, because we're mainly doing rectangles, we don't need anything too crazy. The first thing we're going to need is some nippers. These are going to be useful for cutting out all of our pieces and of course getting them ready for us to put together. Next, we're going to be using a different kind of tweezers. These ones right here are called detailed tweezers. We use them in almost every single video, but we're also going to be using these pointed ones here. These can be useful for bending some of our smaller pieces and smaller details. And finally, we're going to be using these guys right here, which are really awesome because they have a nice flat edge and they can be used almost as a mini brake. Super cool. Last tool on our docket is the Bender 1.0 tool. This one here is useful for getting those kind of unique shapes, and I'm going to be using this throughout our build here to try to get some really good clean bends. All right, Groovers, now we've talked about our tools, we've looked at the instructions. There's only one thing left for you to do, and that's to press that like and subscribe button. We're currently trying to get to 4,000 subscribers, and I could really use your help. But no pressure at all, though. No pressure at all. I'll just wait here until you press it. Oh, these pieces are super colorful. Look at that. Oh, no, seriously, no pressure at all. But it is that red button down there. You can press that like, too. That would be super cool. Oh, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. We got all kinds of cool projects coming out in the future, and I'm so glad that you're going to be here. All right, now let's get all this stuff out and get building.
And just like that, we begin the MU Game City. Right off the bat, I need to correct something I said earlier. MU does provide instructions on how to bend our tabs with these two symbols. They are everywhere, and for the most part are super helpful. Unlike with some other metal models, MU takes into account the tabs and paints them to blend them in. That's pretty cool if you ask me, and this level of attention to detail is something that's echoed throughout the model. For instance, the paint on this model really surprised me. Normally with paint that's this vibrant, it cracks and flakes with the slightest bend of our parts. That's definitely not the case here, builders. No matter what shaping we made, the paint stayed in place, even after a few mistakes. That being said, we can still scratch the paint using metal tweezers, so we still need to be careful when handling some of our smaller details. Speaking of details, this model has a ton of them. From rectangles to squares, cylinders to cones, we have almost everything you can encounter in metal model building. That might sound intimidating at first, but don't worry, it's actually pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at our first couple of parts. Let's take a look at parts A13 and B1. Grabbing B1, we start by bending both sides. Going right to the dotted line, we make our bend straight as possible and repeat this for the other side. I know this sounds like a simple concept, but misbending our parts by not going right to the line is a common problem that builders run into when building these models, especially with heavier detailed pieces. Now that we've gotten this far, we need to close this up by putting pressure on the center. A little bit more, just a little bit more, don't misbend it. There we go, perfect. Balcony complete. Let's take a look at this Nintendo Switch detail. Look at this thing, doesn't it look cool? I love the details on this. But with this little switch, we need to bend the straight sides down first, and then curve our edges in and connect them. We can achieve some good looking sides multiple different ways. In this case, I used my tweezers and slowly made multiple bends in our sides to get the shape. Kind of like curling ribbon on a present, but not at all. Once we have a nice shape, we can use our edges of the switch to help us get the sides just right. Secure the tabs, and we are ready to add this onto our building. Doesn't that look nice? Now let's apply these methods to a few more bits of detail. Our yellow sign, an arcade machine, claw machine complete with prizes and blue cat, all get added to our sides before bending part B14. One note about this part, because it has so much detail being attached to it, there are lots of holes to secure the detail too. Make sure to double check to ensure that all of your parts are in the right place before making any big bends to your game city. Taking this apart later will be a big pain in the butt, so this is the time to make any changes. Once we're happy with what we got, it's some quick big bends, a few twists of some tabs, and now we're ready for some more detail. It's controller time! And although I feel the colors were a little bit off with this one, I still think it comes out looking pretty great. The key to shaping all the details here is grabbing as much of the tab in your tweezers as possible before making any bends. By doing this, you're ensuring that the part will be evenly attached. Remember, the paint is really good, but can be scratched if you're not careful. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, like that. Let's move on. Our roof has a ton of detail for us to add. Signs, crown platform details, media controllers, and some parts that have some grating and some attachment details. The parts with the grating can be tricky to form if we don't get right up to that dotted line, because the grating detail is the weakest part of the metal. After attaching our signs, we need to bend the sides of our roof and attach these little red parts on the sides. These red details should be flush with our roof and are a great indication to say that everything's being bent correctly. However, the ultimate test is the little details that go inside of these red pieces. I was skeptical about how easy it would be, but to my surprise, I never had an issue adding any of this kind of detail onto this model, and that speaks to the engineering of the MU team. Their measurements are dead on, and it makes for a fun building experience. Now, let's add our last bits of detail on here so we can get playing some games.
And boom, there we have it, the MU Gaming City in all of its glory. This build was a ton of fun to put together, not only because of all the gaming Easter eggs inside, like our Switch and Crane game with all of its little prizes inside, but also because of how well this was engineered. This thing went together so well. I was really surprised by these little red flags and all the other little insert detail and how well and easily they connected together. It just shows that MU has a really good team of engineers behind them. And if you've been hesitant in the past about trying some MU models, I would go ahead and give them a go. Not only are they fun to put together, but the coloring on them really does stand out. I was surprised that this stuff stayed together. With most of our color builds, these things flake off like you've seen in the past. But not the case with this. I mean, there was pieces that I completely misshaped and then had to reform and put them back together and all the paint stayed on, which I'm just so impressed by this. I don't know what kind of paint process they use, but I think some other model companies might want to take a look at this process too. Now, can I recommend this build for beginners out there? Well, actually, yes. This is a really cool model to put together, and although there are some trickier bits like the little cones on the back and some of the other smaller details, overall, if you take your time, I think you're going to be really impressed by this build. And I think if you give one of these a try, you'll be like me and want to build the entire series. All right, Groovers, I had a really good time building the MU Gaming City with you. And if you guys had a good time, don't forget to press that like button. For more videos like this, hit subscribe as well, as we've got all kinds of really cool builds coming out in the future, and I would love to have you there too. Until next time, keep building. All right, now it's finally time to get down to playing pinball. Where's my quarters?